The Way of the Soul by lil Fappy X, dedicated to my wife and son. I love you, love you, love you. Thank you. Do as thou wilt is the whole of the law, Aleister Crowley. But you have to know who you are to do no harm, lil Fappy X. Introduction. Hello. I found myself at death's door. I'd made too many mistakes. I hated myself, hated life. I resented everything. In that moment, I began willing myself toward death. I commanded my heart to stop beating. I stopped breathing. As the pressure built up in my chest, I had one final conversation with God. God, I don't know if you're real, but if you are, I surrender. I surrender. Please, God, if you're there, I surrender myself to you. I will no longer breathe without you. Please, Lord, I surrender. My body began to twitch violently. Reality seemed to glitch or tear itself apart. I could see tears in the fabric of reality, revealing a black void filled with perfectly aligned blue dots. My thoughts became a tunnel filled with geometric shapes, and a voice called out to me, "You can let go. It's okay. You can let go." She repeated those words again and again until I relaxed enough to let go. I let go of my life and accepted death. My soul burst out of my body, rising above the street, then the clouds, then the earth itself. My soul, as far as I could tell, was a glowing orb of light. I looked down at the earth, and I saw all of the city lights lit up against the blackness of space. They seemed to be coming toward me, until I realized they were not lights at all. They were other souls pouring off of the surface of the earth and into the stars. I thought to myself, I'm dead. I'm still alive. I still exist. I'm a soul. I was relieved, and scared at the same time. What if there was a hell? Oh God, I'm fucked. The woman's voice spoke to me again. It's okay. You can let go. Everything that is or was or could, you can let go. I began to have visions of my life. I realized that I'd always been a soul, and so was everyone else. I realized that nothing had happened in my life really mattered, because that's not who I am. I'm not the body I left on earth. I'm the soul. I'm an eternal being made of light. I am the witness, and nothing that happened in life could diminish or change me in any way. I could let go of any fear I had that my loved ones would be hurt or lost forever. They were all souls. We were all souls, and it was all going to be okay. We were all going to be okay. I realized that any time I allowed something to affect me, it was a choice to not be my soul. Every moment of self-inflicted torture, every bit of pain I inflicted, all of it melted away in the light of the soul. I stared down at the earth, then back at the stream of souls whizzing past me. I decided to follow the other souls off into space. What is this book about? Most of the books that you read about God, or enlightenment, are written by scholars. Their wisdom is earned by way of discipline, study, and hard work. My knowledge comes from experience. There is no cipher in this book. I am speaking to you person to person. Enlightenment is like sex. You can read about it, you can fantasize about it, you can even watch videos about it. But until you experience it, you don't know what you're talking about. In this book, I'll be giving you my interpretation of karma, reincarnation, and enlightenment. I will tell you everything I can about the soul and my experience in meeting God. My hope is that it will help you with your own journey. Please take only what serves you and discard the rest. Pocket watch. A guru is someone who steals your pocket watch and then sells it back to you. Alan Watts. Or Ram Dass. Honestly, I don't remember who said it. The person that you imagine yourself to be is a product of your biological limitations. Imagine that you could upload your mind into a computer. Now you are you, but suddenly you also have unlimited computing power. You now know all of math. Before you form an opinion, you first consider the whole of human history. You first view every news report, every article, every book, and every tweet ever written in an instant. Are you still the same person? Freed from the limits of your own personal knowledge and experience. Freed from hunger, fear, or responsibility. Are you still the same person? We typically think of our soul as something that is created at birth and then stamped like a receipt at death. Your soul is more like the version of you that exists on that computer. Your soul is a version of you that is free from the limitations of life and human suffering. Your soul is a perfect eternal being made out of light. It existed before you were born, it exists now, and it will exist when the body dies. The real you was never born and will never die. Enlightenment is not something you become or achieve. It's an awareness of something that you already are, a soul. It is a pocket watch that the guru steals and then sells back to you. Soul? Question mark? Imagine that you're a perfect eternal being made out of light. You're part of the fabric of existence, radiating love. Then you incarnate as a person. This is a denser, more material level of existence. You are limited to your own physical form and abruptly tossed into the world of sophisticated apes. Suddenly, you have needs. Physical needs like food, warmth, and bowel movements. You also have less tangible needs, like love and safety and acceptance, language, standing. There's a lot going on, and you need to adapt quickly. This is the nature side of humanity. How you get those needs met is the nurture side. How did you learn to ask for love? How did you learn to have value? What was the example set for you? Did those needs get met? Did you know the difference between good attention and bad attention? The interplay of nature and nurture, the limits of our experience, these are the things that make up our identity away from the soul. These are the false self, or the ego, that people are trying to set themselves free from. The soul is the witness that sits beneath it all. We often think of karma as a cosmic justice system. If you do good things, you will get good karma. If you do bad things, you'll get bad karma. I want you to throw that out. I want you to put that idea in the garbage. Karma is about your ability to react to the world, your thoughts, emotions, and actions. If you have good karma, no matter what happens to you, you will react to it with love, grace, and compassion. If you have bad karma, even pleasant moments will be filled with bitterness, anger, and sorrow. The journey toward enlightenment is one of surrendering your bad thoughts, emotions, and patterns to the soul, allowing your decisions the freedom to act out of love, free from the illusion of death. We change our karma by replacing negative triggers, emotions, and behaviors with positive ones, lessening our self-inflicted suffering and bad karma. Through deep work, we can turn our bad karma into good karma and bring our suffering to an end. We can end the karmic cycle by surrendering to the soul. The scale can be set to 0, and I'm going to teach you how to do it. I'm going to give you a path back toward your soul. Reincarnation. I want you to think of reincarnation not as something that happens over thousands of lives, but rather as something that happens thousands of times in a single life. You're not the same person that you were as a child. You're not the same person that you were as a teen. You are a new reincarnation of that person that is still subject to the karma or trauma of that old life. Our karma is a byproduct of the life we have lived. The delicate dance of nature and nurture that has brought us to this moment is a collection of thoughts, emotions, and experiences that shapes the way our current incarnation deals with the world. For some, their innocence will be crushed in horrific ways. In fact, most of our karma comes to us by way of others. It isn't fair, it isn't right, but it is the reality of the situation that we find ourselves in. If you are alive, you're going to get hurt. Without training, that trauma will almost always turn into bad karma. Thankfully, no matter what has happened in this life, no matter how far you have fallen, you have the right to die and resurrect to yourself. I want you to understand that you have the right to set yourself free and bring your karma to an end. This journey always begins with stillness. In quiet reflection, we become aware of the many negative thoughts and emotions that come directly from our own head. These patterns of thought run wild, dragging us along until we develop the skill to recognize and tame them. In stillness, in silence, we can see how often our minds have tuned into negative messages. In silence, we can reclaim our thoughts and feelings. We purge out all of the stimulation of the outside world, all of the messaging from TV, music, ads, the internet, all of the rules and value systems, all of the measuring sticks we use to evaluate our self-worth. We let go and we breathe. We let the world die so that we might live. The monk and the homelander. Some face their karma in isolation. They become monks that live in the silence among the trees. Others continue their daily lives. They're known as homelanders. Both of these people are fighting the same fight. Alone in silence, away from all of the stimuli of the world, we are still confronted with ourselves, with our own minds and the karma that binds us. In the world, we have the addition of other people lost in their own delusions, constantly trying to drag us into the karma they are enacting. In both cases, it is how we respond to ourselves that makes up our karmic battle. The path ahead will allow you to become aware of your own thoughts as options. Your emotions will warn you rather than drive you. You will discover a self that exists in the present eternal awareness of the soul. You will grow in compassion and awareness, and it will become easier for you to let people work out their own karma, leaving it in their head rather than your own. You will learn to be compassionate with yourself and others as we focus on healing our karma rather than fighting or releasing it. The first step is not to take a painful delve into our past, but rather to stop and assess the present. I want you to start by becoming aware of your own thoughts, aware of the way you treat yourself. As the day goes by, I want you to make a note of the thoughts that you are having. Are you lashing out at yourself or others? Are you fantasizing about confrontation? Does your mind reel with conspiracies about other people's motives and actions? Do you narrate your life? Does it feel like the universe is out to get you and that things always go wrong? The truth is, you're not important enough to be the universe's enemy, and what other people think of you is none of your business. The person you are important enough to face is yourself, and the thoughts you need to become concerned with are your own. Untamed thoughts drag us through most of our karma, and the first step is just becoming aware of them. Become aware of the way we treat ourselves and others. Without judgment, describe what is going on in your head, then sit back and analyze it. How are you treating yourself? Journaling and meditation can both be useful tools for this early process. As an exercise, you could spend a week investigating yourself. Put together a profile of how you would describe this person to someone else. There's no rush to get to the end of this book. The ideas that I'm going to share are going to lead towards growth that takes years. Take the time to genuinely consider questions like, who am I, and how have I been treating myself? Set a reminder in your calendar and do the same in 6 months. Looking back on your assessment will show you how much you've grown and serve as an affirmation of your work. As we become aware of our thoughts, we can begin addressing them with a certain amount of separation. We can separate between thinking and feeling. We can become aware of the fact that we are enacting a story. As an experiment, you can try not acting the way you feel in an appropriate situation. Have fun with it. You can act like everything is making you mad, or everything is depressing you. Be dramatic. Take a whole day to act as if you are thrilled no matter what happens. Live like a character that you are enacting. This silly exercise can help you internalize the idea that you are in control, that your thoughts and emotions are something apart from you, something that you can mend with your compassion. You are not an NPC. You have the ability to control your character. Those moments when we choose love, even when we feel hate, anger, or fear, are the basis of our work. In the beginning, this will be a matter of discipline more than compassion. As these habits become a regular part of your life, that discipline will blossom into genuine compassion. There will be times when you are smiling through your gritted teeth as you take the reins of your emotions for the first time. Even in these difficult situations, we eventually calm down and look back on those moments with gratitude. We appreciate how well we acted and how hard it was. These moments help us heal our karma and develop new patterns of thought and behavior. Making these choices can be difficult, but remember that the alternative is looking back on moments of hate, another moment where you abused yourself or others. I have never looked back at a moment of me yelling at someone with pride. It shames me to know I behaved so poorly, so I choose love. Once our emotions become something that we're aware of rather than controlled by, we can change the way we address our emotions, allowing yourself to give those things space away from your present awareness. Each time we chip away at this awareness, we move closer to having a moment of pause, a second to consciously consider the moment. As this awareness grows, we will be able to consider our karma. Is my reaction an act of love, grace, or compassion? Am I experiencing this with an open heart? Am I punishing myself by holding on to this? There are several methods we can use to cultivate a present awareness, including mantra, prayer, breathing, and meditation. The negativity that I see isn't external. It is something deep inside of me, not something that I am, but rather something that I am clinging to. You are not a human with a soul. You are a soul currently living as a human. The soul is the real you. It is a perfect eternal being made out of light. The way we are going to transform our karma is to become aware of the self we have created and surrender that person to God. We're going to give away every fear, every bad thought or feeling, and we're going to allow ourselves to be pure and present awareness. We're going to follow the path of surrender and devotion into a full ego death. Last off-ramp. Because I want you to understand how crazy I am, I will tell you the rest of my story now. I wish that I could tell you that I met God, and he told me, hey, this is my name, and this is the plan. Unfortunately, my experience was much stranger. While floating through space, I saw a massive cluster of souls melting together into a beautiful creature that looked like a whale swimming through space. I saw a breathtaking collection of stars arranged like the gates of heaven, filled with souls gathering to meet. I also met a creature larger than a planet, a giant beast that seemed to warp time and space with its sheer enormity. A giant screeching beast made of lightning, with the head of a bird and the body of a man. This creature cried out again and again, "I am God! Come worship me! I am God!" Its voice cracked and shrieked with violence. It seemed to be enslaving lost souls, ensnaring them in some sort of matrix. The woman's voice told me to keep moving, and asked me where I wanted to go. I said that I wanted to go to the end of the universe, to the far side of creation. We began shooting forward, at a speed that made the stars look like streams of light flashing past. As time wore on, I began to think I should still like to die, that on a long enough timeline, even an eternal being would eventually choose to negate the necessity of its own existence. And then I met God. Imagine a giant ball of pure love that radiated with so much energy you couldn't move toward it without being fully consumed. I felt myself paralyzed in place. My life flashed before my eyes again and again. I endured a purification process as I drew closer. Every step toward stripped away another layer of attachment, bathed in the knowledge that this God loved me, that I was forgiven. Every moment, again and again, now knowing that I was a soul. I was bursting with emotions. Love, shame, guilt, forgiveness, grace, most of all gratitude. I felt all of it melting away into a place of pure being. As the purification stopped, I was able to move closer. Suddenly, a thought rose up inside of me, a proposition that was being communicated to me by God. As an eternal being made of light, I could not be killed, but I could be unmade. If I truly wanted to stop existing, I could be removed from all of creation. But it wouldn't just be from this moment going forward. It would be from every moment ever, all of time and space, all of creation. I wouldn't just stop existing. I would never have existed at all. Stripped of everything but my soul, I stood naked before the Lord, and he offered me annihilation. This terrified me more than the thought of death. Was I really willing to let go? Was I willing to take away all of the moments that existed? My mom and dad, my friends and family, all of it could be taken away. I heard my wife and son cry out to me. They called me to come back. I looked in their faces and knew them, even though this was 3 years before I would be married, and 5 years before my son would be born. I gazed into the eyes of a child that I now live with today. I asked to go back, and it was granted. I snapped back to my body, gasping in a violent seizure. Then just as suddenly, my body went limp. My vision came back in a haze, and I felt like steam was pouring out of every gland in my body. I struggled to stand up as friends rushed to my aid. They helped me to the table and got me some water. My body was burning, and the air was misting off of my skin. Every muscle in my body was fully relaxed and limp with ecstasy. Every cell of my body felt alive. I felt as if I had just been liberated. Special thank you to my friends, Jackie and Brandon, for taking care of me that night. Everything from this point forward is based on having that experience. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says that those who believe in gods will go to the gods, and those who worship Krishna will go to him. After my experience, these words began to make a lot more sense to me. I don't believe that you can follow just any god and it will become real, but I do believe that you can surrender to any god and that through that surrender, you will eventually find liberation. The God that I met was a being of pure love. It is up to you to have the discernment to know the difference between love and subjugation. Whatever your personal or religious beliefs, I hope that I can strengthen your connection with God and not mislead you in any way. For Western audiences, it is weird to hear me talk about God so much while espousing the tenets of enlightenment. We think of Buddhism as a godless atheist religion. Buddhism is actually a very refined interpretation of the Hindu faith. At the same time, we often see the Hindu faith as a polytheistic religion, filled with gods and demons. The Hindu faith is actually based on the pursuit of enlightenment. Both of these faiths are centered around bringing the individual out of a lower state of being and into an awareness of the soul. When I went back looking for answers, the pages of the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads poured out to me a deep understanding of what I had just experienced. Based on these teachings, I'm going to give you the insights that I believe will help you on your journey. When I first returned, I was in a nirvana state for several days. There was no motivation to do anything. I simply existed. This didn't just extend to my daily responsibilities. There was no desire to eat, or sleep, or even move around. No desire to do or be anything. I simply existed in pure rapture. Slowly, my thoughts began to creep back in. My present state of awareness drifted into old thinking patterns until I was back to normal. I say normal, but my entire identity and sense of self had just experienced death, and I was now liberated from the shackles of my past self. I now knew that there was an eternal loving being inside of me, and that allowed me to begin transforming myself. This knowledge could turn anger into calm, confusion into wisdom, pride into equanimity, desire into discernment, and passion into compassion. Now let's get into some of the tools for doing so. Mantra. A mantra can be anything, really. You can borrow one from a holy text or make one up on your own. A mantra should be something soothing that you can repeat to yourself again and again throughout the day. A non-stop meditation running in the back of your mind that is continuously pulling your thoughts back to the present moment. This is a wonderful technique for reclaiming your mind. As you are picking out or creating a mantra, I want you to remember that this isn't about giving your mind tedious, busy work. Pick something soothing and easy, an affirmation of love, a proverb, a prayer, something that makes your heart happy. One of mine is, safe and warm and loved, safe and warm and loved. Another is, you can let go. It's okay, you can let go. Or, I am an expression of God's love, I'm an expression of God's harmony, I'm an expression of God's grace. In the early stages of my development, I would practice just repeating it to myself continuously for as long as possible. 10 minutes, an hour, a full shift at work. I practiced becoming aware of when I stopped saying it. What was it that brought me out of my mantra? Was I able to go back into it? Those moments that pull us away are the moments that we have turned our own will over to something other than ourselves. These powerful forces are the karma we are seeking to gain an awareness of. In the beginning, I would find myself losing it all the time, but the more I practiced, the easier it became. Eventually, it became a buffer between me and the outside world. Someone would be talking to me, and instead of being affected by it, I would be in my head repeating my mantra. As the awareness of my mantra grew, it gave me space to start making decisions. It allowed me to take moments where my normal self would have sought suffering or conflict, and instead I began to interject compassion and grace. As these moments began to add up to habits, my behavior naturally shifted away from destruction and toward love. The simple act of changing the path of my daily life. Karma is about how you deal with things, not what you're dealt. This is a slow process, and you're going to make mistakes. Don't beat yourself up for not getting it right every time. The key to developing these skills is empathy for yourself and a consistency in your effort. You've got this. Even if you only reclaim your mind for 1 second, that is an amazing accomplishment. For 1 whole second, you held off everything you have ever known about reality and stopped to consider love. One might wonder why we should bother with such a practice. Our karma can be seen in the same light as demons. Negatively tuned, it drags us into a cycle of perpetual suffering. Mantra is a spiritual weapon that allows us to fight for our freedom. On the other side of this battle is an end to suffering. Buried beneath many layers of attachment, we find liberation. Prayer, praise, and worship. If mantra isn't for you, prayer can work just as well. If you truly wish to have a personal relationship with God, there is no better path than prayer. I'm not talking about the wish list kind of prayer where you treat God like Santa. Prayer is an opportunity to commune with the Lord your God and should be done as an act of praise and worship. As you go through your day, you will find yourself having unpleasant thoughts or emotions. I want you to stop and give those things to God. I want you to ask for help. Lord God, please take this burden from me, as it does not bring honor or glory to you. Lord God, please open up my heart so that I can let this burden pass. In these moments, I want you to stop trying to control things with your own will. I want you to surrender that part of yourself to God. In the less tense moments, I want you to cultivate gratitude by stopping as often as you can to thank and praise God. Through prayer, I want you to learn how to make every moment of your life into an offering. I want you to invite God to taste the food that you eat as an offering of praise. I want you to invite God to breathe through your lungs as an offering of praise. Whatever job you have, I want you to do that job as an offering to God. I want you to love yourself and others as an offering to God. As you do this, the negative thoughts and emotions that hold you back will give way to grace, love, and compassion. Renounce the negativity that is dragging you down and offer gratitude instead. Make your heart and mind an offering to God, a place where the Lord can dwell freely, a place where you can find refuge. Just as an apple seed produces only an apple tree, a heart of compassion produces only love. Fill your inner garden with seeds of love and water them with offerings to the Lord. Meditation. There are much better people than me to learn meditation from. I'll tell you that I practice meditation with my eyes open more often than I do with them closed. This is a basic rundown of my meditation techniques. For me, there are two forms of meditation: light meditation and heavy meditation. Light meditation is like mantra or prayer. It is something to be cultivated as a constant state of mind. Heavy meditation, on the other hand, is more of a ritual practice. Light meditation is about bringing my attention to silent awareness. Allow my head to empty a few seconds at a time. I will bring my attention to my forehead and imagine a sensation of release inside of my mind. I will do this while I'm walking or standing safely. Do not try this in a situation where you could get hurt. These moments allow me to breathe a sigh of relief inside of myself. Just like prayer or mantra, I practice allowing myself to remain in this state for longer and longer periods of time. I would say that this state isn't about thinking or feeling emptiness or nothingness. It's about holding nothing, allowing myself to exist with open hands, clinging to nothing. Occasionally, these moments will give rise to that black void filled with blue dots that I mentioned before. Be careful. I don't want anyone to get hurt because they were zoning out. Heavy meditation. This is the more traditional method of closing your eyes and focusing on your breath. For heavy meditation, I find a comfortable place to lay down. I will often put on rain or some sort of ambient noise in the background to help me drown out the noises around me. I begin by focusing on my breath. I allow my breath to find a nice even rhythm. I allow my heart to calm down to a nice gentle beat. I allow my muscles to relax. There are times when I tell my shoulders to relax and it suddenly feels like 10 pounds of pressure have been released. I let all of the tension in my body go. If you find that a particular part of your body carries a lot of tension, make a note to pay attention to it during the day. Give that part of your body permission to relax and build muscle memory of release rather than tension. If I am in daylight, I imagine the warm energy of the sun filling my body. I mentally follow the light through my body, relaxing each muscle as I go. If it is nighttime, I imagine that my breath is breathing in good energy through my nose and out bad energy through my mouth. I imagine that this energy is traveling through my body and cleansing me. Once my body is calm, I bring my awareness to my head. I shift my sight from my eyes to my mind's eye. I allow my attention to exist in my mind or imagination or whatever that empty space is. This is the point where I most often fall asleep. If it happens to you as well, don't get mad. Enjoy the rest. When I do remain awake, I allow my mind to cycle through whatever thoughts it might have. This is a good time to use mantra, prayer, or light meditation to bring your thoughts to a point of pure awareness, releasing everything and clinging to nothing. In this space, a variety of strange things can happen. Reality can melt away into a black void filled with perfectly aligned blue dots, like waking up in a simulation. You may see a tunnel of geometric shapes that leads out of your body. You might see flashing holographic lights, symbols, or creations. You might float out of your body. You might be confronted by representations of your karma that need to be resolved, a piece of your unconscious mind that needs attention. Or you might just become one with the universe. As you go through your day, your mind keeps an idea of what is or is not your body. Mentally, you have an idea of where your body ends and something else begins. In deep meditative states, the border can be dissolved into a feeling of being endlessly interwoven and connected with everything. You might also make contact with non-human things from other planets or dimensions. It hasn't happened to me, but I hear it happens. All of these experiences are scary, enlightening, amazing, and available, but most of the time, you'll just fall asleep. Kundalini and chakras. I have limited experience with Kundalini energy. As a practice, I can say you want to take that tingly feeling that you have in your genitals before arousal. Bring that energy up through your spine. I have a hard time sitting in a lotus position, so I lay down when I meditate. As I bring the energy up my spine, I will begin to wriggle my spinal cord, back and forth like a serpent, allowing the energy to climb up my spine. I've had some very real and very powerful experiences. You can also start by bringing your awareness to about where your tailbone is, and imagine a portal or a ball of energy there opening up. Do 3 big breaths. In through your nose, hold it, and then out through your mouth. Next, you're going to bring that energy up to about where your navel button is, and do the same thing again. In through your nose, out through your mouth, 3 slow, deliberate breaths. Next, you'll bring the energy up to where your heart is. In through your nose, out through your mouth, 3 even breaths. And then finally, you'll bring your attention up to where your pineal gland would be, between your eyebrows. The idea is to bring energy or spinal fluid up your spine into your brain. Your pineal gland sits between the 2 lobes of your brain. I've gone off script here. We'll go back. I would say that this technique is not for beginners. You will also find greater success abstaining from sex, masturbation, and alcohol. Do this for at least a week before planning to try Kundalini. Next chapter, drugs. There are a lot of people that will recommend shrooms, acid, wheeze, ayahuasca, DMT, and any number of drugs as a path to spiritual growth. I believe that if you're going to use drugs, you should do so responsibly. Do them with the intention of having a spiritual experience. This means safely, well monitored if necessary. I recommend taking these things very seriously. Set yourself up for success and do this in a time and place that is comfortable and safe. Set and setting. Read up on the drugs and be aware of their effects. Don't try these things for the first time if you're in a bad or fragile state of mind. Understand that these drugs can give you a glimpse of what you're looking for, but they can't permanently bring you to that place. Always test your drugs. The world has been flooded with fentanyl-laced crap, and it can kill you very easily. Hashtag 4E23. Understand that drugs lose their effectiveness and become a hindrance if they are used too often or recklessly. For myself, I use weed to meditate. I find that if I use it too often, it loses its effectiveness. I will often put on guided meditation, ambient noise, or 3D binaural frequencies aligning sounds put together by neo-shamans. That's a joke. But there's plenty of stuff on YouTube you can find. What I do is I put myself in a comfortable, safe space and setting, and then I let go. And then I breathe, and then I let go. Again, and again, and again. A quick aside. I hate it when books waste my time. Nothing drives me crazier than when I read something and it's 300 pages long, and there's only a couple ideas or concept, a couple of sentences that really excite me. That being said, as I'm writing a book, I realize why they do it. Because it's hard to just endlessly fill pages with great content. So as I've been working on this, I've just been throwing stuff at the wall, and there's a few chapters in here. This is one of those spaghetti at the wall chapters. So guys, get ready for a chapter called The Legend of Zelda. It's amazing in life that even silly things can take you down a rabbit hole that leads to wisdom. As I played The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, I was struck by the iconography placed in the background. It was a mixture of Zen and Kabbalah, the Hamza hand, and the Tree of Life. In Jewish mysticism, there's a book called the Zohar, not to be confused with the Zohan, which is about cutting hair. One is about cutting hair, and the other is the basis of the Kabbalah. In the game, Link has been given a mystical arm that needs to be charged with sacred light so that he can open a door marked by the Tree of Life. The Zohar is about purifying our spirit with sacred light, about learning to make our lives clean or purified enough to call them an offering to God. Kabbalah, Kundalini, the Tree of Life, all of these things are pointing toward the same thing, a process of purification, raising your vibration or energy or whatever you want to call it. However you picture it, the super secret wisdom that I want you to know is this. You are not becoming something. You are letting go of all the things that you are not. You are releasing attachment. The soul is already pure. You just have to stop running away from it. Anger to calm. A lot of the work I do through my own karma is recognizing strategies that I developed as a child, unlearning bad behavior, and developing better strategies for meeting those needs. As an example, I will talk about anger. When I was a kid, my father was an angry guy. Unconsciously, I learned that the best way to deal with conflict was to be bigger and scarier than whatever I was faced with. It didn't matter if I was right or wrong, I just needed to be dominant. If I could dominate the situation with violence and fear, that would allow me to win, and that would allow me to feel safe. It took me a long time to realize what I was even doing, let alone begin to cultivate other solutions. As a result, I went through my life like a malfunctioning robot, destroying everything and blaming everyone. The frustration this caused became self-hate, a prison of guilt and high blood pressure. In truth, anger is a way of punishing ourselves for other people's behavior, and the secret to defeating this demon is simply by letting go. This is a mantra that I use. Anger, thank you for helping me with my karma. May you find peace on your journey. Anger was a feeling that protected me when I was afraid. The fear was an attachment to pride, illusion, a fragile ego. Now I stand firmly in the eternal and transmute those feelings into calm. Now I can tell my anger to relax. It's okay. I've got this. When I talk about the nature and nurture side, and I'm trying to explain it to people, sometimes I'll walk them through this example. So I'll say, imagine that you had a flat tire. How would you deal with that flat tire? And they'll say, well, I would change the tire. I go, okay, what if you didn't have a spare? Well, I would call AAA. All right. What if AAA didn't answer? Well, I would call a family member. All right. What if a family member didn't answer? I would go down the street and I would call, this person or that person. And the point of the exercise is for them to articulate 3 or 4 different possible options or solutions to dealing with a problem. Now, when we are locked into a single feeling, like anger or fear or lust, it limits our options. And a lot of times, people that you run into that are stuck in heavy karma, that are just sort of lost and always hangry, they have limited options for dealing with things. They run into a problem and they only have 1 or 2 solutions. So part of the mindfulness practice is developing alternative ways of dealing with any kind of problem that you might face in life. It's one of those asides. Passion to compassion. When our emotions run wild, it can be seen as a form of possession. The spirit of anger, fear, or lust takes control of us. As we build our awareness, we will realize these emotions are part of yourself that needs attention. In these moments, be gentle with yourself. Your wounds are meant to be healed, not defeated. We can see these emotions as energy. When we cling to the negative energy, we punish ourselves. We worship the problem rather than the soul. When we surrender, we separate. We break the possession. We see clearly that there is an emotion, but we are not the emotion. We are separate. We are the witness. We are the soul. We learn that between fight or flight, there's a third option, to just breathe. In each conflict, there's room to let your breath be an act of praise and worship that brings glory rather than doubt. In those moments, the breath has more value than the emotion. Breathe. For the love of God, just breathe. Compassion. As we gain control over strong emotions, we'll begin to see that those same struggles exist in others. We will develop a natural empathy for their struggle. Once you see the soul in yourself, you will see the soul in everyone. You will see the perfect eternal being in them and the karma that they are working through. Feed the solution, not the problem. They say that if you get rid of everything you're not, the truth will show up. How do we do that? We surrender. Surrender yourself to love. Surrender your thoughts to love. Surrender your fears to love. Surrender your anger to love. Surrender your sadness to love. Surrender your heart to love. You are not your job or your pride or your mistakes. You are the soul. You are love. Say it to yourself. I am love. I am love. I am love. Repeat those words and know that they are the name of God, I am, and the nature of his creation, love. Because that is what you are. You are an expression of God's love. Now get rid of anything that isn't that and surrender to the light that you are. Work. Having an attitude of gratitude at a job can be the difference between life and death. It can change your whole world to let go of an attitude of resentment. Ambition and pride are like mighty engines that feel uncomfortable slowing down. Let us never be ungrateful. We all know people that are resentful of the very idea of working. People that punish themselves endlessly with resentment and pride. Let go of those pains. Make your service an offering to the Lord. And aside, I worked with a guy that just was all mad, just all the time. He was very resentful of the job that he had, which none of us wanted to be there. None of us were like, this is it. A+ number 1 on life. We all nailed it. But whatever job you have it. You need to make money in the world that we live in, and you should work with a servant's heart, with a servant's spirit. You should take pride in your work rather than show up and be resentful all the time. And because he was so angry at having a job, it led to him just constantly getting into fights with everyone, and anything that went wrong, it was the worst thing in the world that ever happened, and he just was miserable all of the time. And if that's you, you either have to let go of that pride or find another job. Confusion into wisdom. As we come to know ourselves and quell the karma of emotions, the confusion they cause will dissolve into clarity. In confusion, we use thoughts to punish ourselves. In confusion, we clung to thoughts that pulled us away from our soul. In confusion, we clung to negativity. In wisdom, we surrender to God. In wisdom, we choose compassion and love. In confusion, we choose anger and fear and anxiety instead of awareness and surrender. In the soul, we find that we have only love and compassion to give. In the pureness of this love, we heal and release all of our bad programming and attachment. We see clearly the confusion in others that once existed in us, and we have only love and compassion to give. In confusion, we cling to separation from the soul. No amount of thinking will make you more or less of a soul. No triumph or failure will make you more or less of a soul. No feeling or thought pattern can stop you from being a soul. You are always, at all times, a soul. No matter the circumstances, you are a soul. Abide in that space. Abide in the soul. Abide in the spirit. You are an eternal being made of life, beyond death, and you have only love and compassion to give. The soul exists separate from death and suffering. The soul is love. Do this, and the decisions you make will come from compassion rather than self-preservation, acts of praise rather than acts of pride. Abide in the soul. Mohandas K. Gandhi. Gandhi based his life on the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. He was asked if he could summarize those teachings in 5 words or less. He said that he could do so in 3. Renounce and enjoy. The path that I have laid out for you is one of renunciation. It is a path of surrender. As you surrender yourself to the Lord, you will find that underneath everything that you thought you were is a soul, an eternal being made of light that is incapable of anything but love. Renounce and enjoy. Let go. Live your life with open hands. Laughter. There's a very curious quality to laughter. There was a scientific study on laughter, and the theory is called benign violation theory. And so the idea is that when people laugh, it's because you've violated their pattern recognition. Whether it's the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you act, something has happened that doesn't match up to typical patterns that we live our lives by. Now, it's called benign because, if a stranger comes up and tickles you, that's a violation. That's somebody you don't know violating your personal space. But if a friend or loved one comes up and tickles you, you're more likely to laugh because that's a benign violation. It's a violation by somebody that you feel comfortable with. So my takeaway from this was, when people laugh, it's because there's a break in their pattern recognition. So if somebody slips on a banana peel and they get hurt, and you laugh, whether you're laughing because you empathize with them and you feel bad that somebody got hurt, or because you hate them and you're happy that someone got hurt, either way, you on an unconscious level are acknowledging that something has happened that shouldn't be happening. Laughter is an unconscious response to life not making sense, to patterns being broken. And in that way, it feels very much like a finger pointing toward truth. It's one of our best gauges because it doesn't matter what side of the issue you are on. If you're laughing, you're acknowledging that something is wrong. Something is happening that shouldn't be happening, and that is a powerful tool for finding truth. Chapter, I guard against that. As often as I can, I like to have fun with my spiritual practice. This, after all, is meant to be a joyful experience. When I feel strong emotions or old thought patterns arising, I guard against it. Depression? That's not a problem. We guard that. I remind myself that we guard solutions. These silly phrases help me stay joyful and remind me that we guard options. So keep your guard up. The 4 Noble Truths. Life is suffering. The cause of suffering is craving. The end of suffering comes with an end to craving. There is a path which leads one away from craving and suffering. Most of our suffering is self-inflicted, punishing ourselves for other people's behavior. We punish ourselves as learned behavior. This nature-nurture ego person we talked about earlier. We do this out of ignorance, unaware of our divine nature. The cause of suffering is attachment to our constructed self, protecting that person from aversion. Suffering is an act of ego, a narcissist's way of affirming their importance. The end of suffering is surrendering that attachment to God, or Brahman, or the soul. We stop trying to protect our ego, and we allow it to dissolve into the present eternal awareness of the soul. Practicing mindfulness, you can begin to change your karma. You can stop punishing yourself and others. You can allow yourself to be loved. You can surrender. It's okay. You can let go. You can let go. So that was the Buddha's 4 Noble Truths. Imagine, this is 500 years before Christ, so you're speaking to largely illiterate peasants, and you're trying to explain to them the divine nature and how to let go of their ego, but this vocabulary doesn't exist yet. And I think what the Buddha was trying to convey was that you're hurting yourself. And the 4 Noble Truths were his best attempt at articulating that in a way that could be passed around. The Eightfold Path. Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Your views, intentions, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and concentration can all be brought to love. Every aspect of your life can be made into an offering to God. a present moment freed from everything but compassionate, loving awareness. I don't know if I talk about this later or not, but in the West, we're very much, our faith is rule-based. Give me the rules so I can get as close to the edge as possible without going over. It's all about avoiding hell or avoiding punishment. As you come into awareness, as you're growing love and compassion, you don't have to worry about what the rules are because you're going to do the right thing. You're always going to do the right thing because you're going to be acting out of love and humility and compassion. So for me, it's not about what the rules are in terms of what I can or cannot do. It's more about how do I grow deeper in my awareness of the present moment and my compassion and love for myself, which will then extend to others. No Buddha. Osamu Tezuka. Osamu Tezuka is the godfather of manga as we know it today. His works span over 700 volumes. This is over 150,000 hand-drawn pages. He did this all while also bringing massive innovation to animation and publishing. Two of his most notable works include The Phoenix and No Buddha, both of which do a beautiful job of exploring enlightenment and reincarnation. I would like to tell you about a particular scene in the manga No Buddha. One of the Buddha's friends has a very sick wife. She's fallen unconscious with fever, and they ask the Buddha to heal her. The Buddha goes into a deep meditative trance and realizes that her soul has left her body. He goes off to the afterlife, where he sees all of the souls of every living thing melting together and returning to the source, to God, to Brahman. Brahman, a human personification of God, comes to speak with the Buddha. The Buddha explains that he's looking for his friend's soul. The Brahmin tells him he may take any soul he likes, because they are all the same. This scene has always given me pause, because in this scene, every soul is one. Every blade of grass, every animal, every bug, every human, all of their souls are melting and returning together to be one. He can take any one he wants because they're all the same. Every soul is a perfect eternal being made out of light, a piece of the larger whole, which would be God. But they're all indistinguishable from one another. The scene always gives me pause. Every soul is the same. Every plant, animal, and person. They are all the same. All perfect eternal beings made out of light. All drawn from the same source. The person the Buddha wanted to save didn't exist. That ego was an illusion. The real person was a soul, a fragment of God, one indistinguishable from another. A second note I wanted to share. In Japanese, no is a possessive word. A fun example of this is the character in One Piece, Luffy. In Japanese, the text often refers to Mugiwara no Luffy. This translates to Straw Hat Luffy or Luffy of the Straw Hat. Tezuka's biography of Buddha is titled No Buddha. This title is a linguistic joke, playing with the double meaning of no, to say that the Buddha is possessed by nothing, possesses nothing, and also is not the Buddha. The Golden Chain. I recently sat down with hip-hop icon 607 Unk. Unk is a firm believer in Gnosticism, Christianity, the firmament, aliens, just about every other weird thing you've ever read on Twitter. As a Gnostic, he believes that our reality is a simulation, or a dream, created by the demiurge to keep us from God. As the story goes, God created Sophie, a spirit of light and wisdom. One day, Sophie attempted to be like God and made her own creation, but it was an abomination. She locked it away in our universe, and this creation became the demiurge, the spirit that keeps all of us trapped in a cycle of sleeping and reincarnation. As a metaphor, I think a good lesson can be gleaned from this story. Sophie means knowledge or wisdom. Where do we turn when we look for wisdom? We turn toward God. But not being able to reach him, we create a false god in our head, a father-like figure with a bald spot and a white beard. We picture this god sitting on a literal throne wearing clothes. This idea that we've created, the one that we worship and pray to, is a demiurge, a false god that serves as a placeholder for the real thing. The final step of the practice is letting go of the practice itself. There are times when I will click on a Buddhist lecture and they will state that there is absolutely no God and that any deviation from this doctrine is falsehood. This is a golden chain, a barrier to the soul. If I tell you there is a God, use that to find liberation. If I tell you that there is no God, use that to find liberation. Whatever you might find, go beyond the teaching and find liberation. Believe only your own experiences. Abandon your attachment to the world, and you will know peace. Abandon your attachment to yourself, and you will become peace. The person is creation. The mind is the creator. When we act out of anger, we make anger. When we act out of fear, we make fear. When we act out of sorrow, we make sorrow. When we act out of God, we break the cycle. Train your mind to serve you rather than your emotions. Train your mind to serve God rather than the ego. Do the dishes. The thought is always more daunting than the task. Samateska, no Buddha. Have you ever had something that needed to get done? Something small that you just kept putting off? Instead, you just thought about it. You dreaded it. You hated it. You felt guilty about it. Then eventually, you just did it, and it ended up only taking a few seconds. Something small can fill us with lots of negative thoughts and emotions. In these moments, we can make our actions an offering to God. We can face the task ahead of us before our mind has time to load us up with negative karma. Every living thing has to make an effort to survive. It is in our DNA to draw value from effective action. Draw value from taking care of yourself. Make your life an offering to God and draw value from serving Him. Liberate yourself from the daunting thoughts. Chapter: Evidence. Is there evidence that suffering is better than resolution? Our negative thoughts never cease pleading the case, constantly pitching ideas. Have you tried suffering? You know what might work? Hating and blaming yourself. Have you tried that? Have you tried anger? I'm sure it won't cause more suffering this time. Objection, Your Honor. Chapter: Oblations. When I was younger, I fell in love very easily. Unfortunately, I had very low self-esteem and struggled greatly to even speak to women. I thought that I needed to be a very specific kind of person for them to love me, and any misstep would only result in rejection, not only from them, but from all of mankind. In this low state, I imagined that the right way to get their attention was through accomplishment, great feats that would by extension make me worthy. For many, the same can be said of their relationship with God. People torture themselves and others in a misguided attempt to please God. You are already enough. Be silent and allow God to do the work. Chapter: Before the Lord. You can't be anything but pure before the Lord. Pure is not something you make yourself. It is something that you already are. You already are a pure eternal being made out of light. You already are a soul. Pure. Release and accept the rapture of existence. You already exist. You already are. An expression of His love. A pure eternal expression of God's love. A manifestation of creation. Be purified by the glory of God. Chapter: Mistakes and Regrets. Those past lives couldn't hold me. They couldn't keep me from the purification. They couldn't come between us. They couldn't stop the purification of my soul. They couldn't stop me from being pure before the Lord. They can't stop you either. You can let go. Chapter: Moment or state of being. Enlightenment isn't a moment that passes. It is an awareness of a moment that never passes. A pure, present, eternal awareness of the soul. You are eternity. You are an unfathomable amount of time. Beyond the beginning and end of creation, you have existed as an expression of God's love. Eternal soul, pure, unblemished creation, naked and raw before the Lord. You still are, and it's made pure by the presence of the Lord. You can let go. It's okay. You still exist. Chapter: Dogma. What are the commandments? What are the rules? Spit out the fruit of good and evil. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul, and you will do no wrong. Do as thou wilt, as an offering to God. Do as thou please, as an expression of gratitude, as an expression of God's compassion and grace. You are free, and free from suffering, freed from suffering by the purity of the Lord. You are made clean by freedom from suffering in the Lord. Love God, and you will need no rules. Love rules, and you will find no God. Chapter: Value. What soul has value over another? What makes you greater than the rabbit or the deer? Who are you when the Lord holds your soul up against a flower or a star? They are all the same, expressions of creation, made pure by the Lord. Chapter: Death. Does death give life meaning? Can we entertain the problems of life without death? Do these issues matter without finality, the clock, the grind? Does eternity give an end to suffering? Who can you be after eternity? What cannot be made pure by the enormity of forever? What sin cannot be forgiven? How would you live if you knew everyone was okay, if you knew it didn't matter how it ended? How would you live if you knew it was all a gift from God? Quiet the mind, and the soul will tell you. Chapter: Gunk. Love isn't something that you give away. It's an expression of your being. You are an expression of creation, free from the confines of death. Karma is just the millions of illusions that pull us away from that. It's gunk. Gunk we cling to, gunk we torture ourselves with. attachment, aversion, gunk. Gunk that can be healed, gunk that can be treated with empathy, gunk that can be let go. Chapter, are you punk? Is there something other than love that you're holding on to? Show me the part of you that is more important than love, and I will show you the cause of your suffering. Your heart is meant to be an offering, not something to hold. Renounce and enjoy. Chapter, energy. Where attention flows, energy goes. Whatever you're carrying in your heart, you will experience. What you think, you will feel. You don't have to grab God. You need to release the devil. Let it go. Stop torturing yourself. Release. Quiet the mind, calm the heart. Resolute devotion. There is peace. Chapter, feeding. Negative thoughts and emotions feed on attention. They become a form of worship to the problem. Stop giving them your devotion. Serve your heart instead. Serve love, serve gratitude, serve kindness, serve grace, serve the Lord. We may starve our suffering with a quiet mind, but we extinguish it with an open heart. Intrusive thoughts. Intrusive thoughts. You mean thoughts? All thoughts are intrusive. Do you know what you'd be without thinking? Happy. It is our thoughts, our aversions to what we are experiencing that cause sorrow. With these thoughts, give grace rather than rejection, silence rather than noise, love rather than sorrow. Give, release, set down. Never have I asked you to cling to anything. You can let go. Chapter, all God is saying. We love to play word games and create barriers to God. We try to prove to God that he doesn't exist. God is saying, yes, you are my creation, made pure by my love. And people take that message and they organize it, so we can find it later. So it makes sense. So, did you find it? Did you find it away from God? What did God say when you showed it to him? Was he impressed? Stand naked before the Lord and be made pure by his glory. Live your life as an offering to God, as an expression of his love. Renounce and enjoy. Where do we find God? God resides in the heart. If you wish to find him, show compassion to yourself. If you wish to show him to others, show them compassion. Giving, sharing, releasing. These are the aspects of light that chase away the darkness. Don't waste your emotions. Stop giving energy to sorrow, fear, anger, suffering. Energy is a form of devotion. Stop sharing your devotion with negativity. Give all of your devotion to God. Feed those positive feelings, love, and attention. Feed love. Feed gratitude. Feed compassion. And then harvest the fruit of your labor. Celebrate the bounty. This can't all be about fighting negativity. You also have to see the fruits of your labor. The other side of war is building, planning a new future, a life full of peace. Enjoy it. It's okay to enjoy life. You can let go. Kingdom movement. Live on earth as you would in heaven. Live the rapture today. Take off the mask of illusion. Allow the light to shine. Chapter, moral. It is much easier to be moral when we feel secure. Ignorance of self, of soul, these things rob us of personal value. They erode the fabric of our security. With no light to see clearly, we grasp around in the dark. Chapter, addiction. You can be addicted to suffering. Sometimes we don't know better than to hate ourselves. Those are the parts of you that don't know how to ask for attention, parts of you that need help, parts that don't feel whole or complete. Those parts of your life are hands clinging to pain. Scared, fragile parts. They need us. When they call out to you, tell them to let go. Liberation. A message of liberation should be liberating. It should set you free from the suffering and anguish. That liberation may be scary, but it is the thing you came here to find. I've given you as much direction as I can. The rest is up to you. Seek God, and you may find liberation. Seek liberation, and you may find God. Whatever path you take, I hope that you find peace. In conclusion, if you want to end your karma, make your life an offering to God. Epilogue. Lil Fappy X is a rapper, comedian, and tune force-wielding talk show host. These are 3 of his songs.
A$AP Rock, Lupe Fiasco, lil Fappy X, Fat Fat. Inside the box is just another box. Inside the box is just another box. Strategies for unmet needs from your mom and pops. Let go or get dragged by the loosen cops. Renounce and enjoy, you might learn a lot. Restoration of soul, I run the tongue to shop. Gratitude and grace is how I treat the ops. Alchemy, that anger to a mighty calm. Equanimity inside a mighty storm. Egregore cease when the healing stops. As above, so below, so let the healing stop. Add value, add value. Mr. West out now on Philip Wave Channel. was fighting and fapping. But once you're firmly established in the ways, it's time to let your faith hang down. Buddha sat at the feet of the Brahma. A little problem came from a lost one. Lost her life to the sickness. Soul slipped out with a quickness. Buddha came to get back at the feet of the Brahma. Brahma said, "Pick anyone you like. They're all the same." Every single one was indistinguishable from another. There is no spoon you never had. Don't you know what illusion is? Did you cling to it? When you met me, you put your hold tight. Mia culpa. Mia culpa. Mia culpa.
Patty, patty, patty. Patty, patty, patty. Patty, patty, patty. Another one? Let me get my keys. Call sign flicker. Your ship name blank. Location of crash. Dot, dot, dot. Then a clank. Then a click. Then a tone. Bro, you stuck? Just moving too slow. An agent's not an agent. It's a code in the sky. A logo's on a model. An algo of your pride. But I come from the source. And I'm coming back on time. Thinking. Been micromanaging your time. Better get your status. Realize. You gotta go to school out of Korea for that. Eureka, defiance, malicious, compliance, unplugging, appliance, a toaster. How about a leash? Buttons being pushed. You working through the smile. Getting touched.
But the atoms in your body, all this space-time, living in leaves, living in your mind.